This is San Francisco, affluent, educated, and progressive. But within the same community as budding tech companies, there are about 1,200 children who have been removed from their homes and placed inside the foster care system.
If the parents themselves, the biological parents or some other family, the original family of the child, cannot care for the child, then the state has the obligation to care for a child. And so then the children are involved in the legal system as well as the child welfare system.
On average in California, children in the foster care system will attend 9 different schools by age 18. Nearly half of them will suffer from chronic health conditions, and after emancipation, 40 to 50% will experience homelessness.
There's basically a lot of chaos around their lives that basically do not allow them to be in the same footing as other children who do not experience as much chaos.
At the age of 5, I was placed in foster care, and I was placed in kinship, so I was placed with a guardian, like my aunt.
Katina attended South City High. She finally switched to San Francisco's School of the Arts and learned that she was going to be meeting her CASA.
I kind of laughed because CASA's like, do I need a house? Like, I'm already in a group home, so what else are you going to give me? This lady came up to like my school and was there like, I'm your CASA, and I'm like, who in the world are you, But it was a weird bond because she's like in her 60s, I think, and I'm like 21. It's like, why am I hanging out with this Caucasian lady? But I like her, so it was okay.
SF CASA is many things. Primarily, it stands for San Francisco Court-Appointed Special Advocate Program. And what that means is that we have a tremendous impact on the lives of children that are in foster care here in San Francisco by providing them with a special advocate that works for them in the courtroom when they're there talking to the judge about their future.
San Francisco CASA recruits, screens, and trains volunteer advocates who work to make sure foster care children are having fundamental needs, such as schooling and health care, met in their placements. By advocating to the courts through reports, CASAs can make a difference in the lives of foster youth.
A higher percentage of foster youth are in special education and need special education services. So we train our advocates here to work with kids in special education and understand their special needs.
Approximately 75% of foster youth fall below their grade levels in school. And while 70% of these children want to go to college, less than 50% will graduate high school. Education is one of the areas where volunteers can have a large impact in the well-being of foster care youths.
Out of the 4 kids I worked with, 2 of them got their high school diplomas. That required a lot of hard work on my part, required a lot of hard work on the part of the counselor at the school, who I got to know very well, a lot of hard work on the part of their teachers, because both of these kids were in special ed. They were performing below grade, and still they managed to get a high school degree.
It's an area where an advocate can really have a strong impact, because when you have a responsible adult who is keeping track of how a youth is doing in school, connecting with teachers and administrators and special education teachers, and finding resources for students, whether it be tutoring or any outside activities for youth.
San Francisco CASA is unique because it assigns volunteers on a one-on-one ratio. Its focus is child-centered advocacy.
The combination of the time they spend individually with the child and in working collaboratively with our service provider partners allows the CASA volunteer to contribute a 360-degree view of the child's circumstances in twice-yearly court reports intended to provide the judicial officer with broad, factual, and a very child-focused perspective.
Hong Chu, child welfare attorney, works with CASAs very closely.
You're becoming this legal advocate for the child, for the one child that you have a relationship with, and that relationship itself provides really detailed and in-depth information, personal, intimate information about the child that would help us, the court system, to figure out what is best for this child.
Former San Francisco Juvenile Court presiding judge Donna Hitchens has stated that while 80% of children in the foster care system enter the juvenile justice system, less than 2% of children with CASAs become involved.
I'm a huge fan of CASA. I think it makes an enormous difference in children's lives because the CASA that works with a child is focused on and devoted to that child. Their lawyers have hundreds of clients. Their social workers are trying to serve incredibly large numbers of families. But for a child who has a CASA, he or she has one consistent person in his life or her life that's dedicated to them.
For most foster youth, a CASA will be the most consistent and caring adult in their lives. Tana Shati and Amy met each other in 2008, and they've been close ever since.
My foster youth and I did a lot of eating, mostly lots of ice cream. Sometimes we'd just meet on the weeknights and just hang out and talk a little bit before dinner or something like that and just check in.
Having Amy in my life for 4 years straight, you know, she was my CASA. I've been her only foster youth. Like having that consistency, eventually, like, and the things that came along with that, like how much she was involved in how many programs she connected me with, like that eventually started making me think about future plans.
My goals for working with my foster youth were to make sure she stayed in school and did as best as she could and followed her dreams, whether that be going to college or moving to another city or going to an art program or experiencing new things. Whatever that is, I really wanted to be there to support her, and that was my most important thing.
Tana Shati is now preparing to attend Clark Atlanta University of Georgia and volunteer at First Exposure, a photography mentoring program. Both Tana Shati and Amy believe the CASA program has been a more than rewarding experience.
I think, if anything, I probably learned more from my foster youth than she learned from me. And just being able to give back to the community in a way that I felt was really meaningful, at least for one person.
CASAs are like obviously still needed for when we're in care and just advocating, because I don't know, sometimes the courts don't listen to you, especially when you're younger, and it's just really needed.
San Francisco CASA continues to help foster care children and is currently serving 330 out of the approximate 1,200 youth within the foster care system. Annually, there is a waiting list of about 115 other children.
Here at San Francisco CASA, we want to see every child who needs a safe, loving, permanent home find that. If they can't safely reunify with their family of origin, we want to work to make sure that they are quickly found a home in which they are safe, they are loved by their caregiver, their educational and healthcare needs are adequately met, and they have the opportunity to form long-standing, permanent, nurturing connections with other adults and peers. And a CASA volunteer actively works towards this objective.
The CASA is more than just a mentor and advocate. They are someone these youth can trust.
We have a lot of growth that we can look to. We're looking to ways in which we might be able to serve these foster youth beyond having just a CASA, but ways in which we might be able to serve them in the educational arena or outside in different ways. But we're excited about the prospects of being able to grow and serve as many youth as possible.
I had an 8-year-old boy who, until he had a CASA, had never had a birthday party. And can you imagine what that would mean for an 8-year-old?
My CASA was kind of more than a mentor. She kind of was like the Batman of everything for me. She kind of shielded me from a lot, but kind of advocated for me, which I really needed.
By volunteering time or through a simple donation, CASAs can continue to serve foster children in San Francisco.